Hello, Jessica Frost-Ballas here with the next Crafty Quintet video. Each month I'll be sharing 5 of something crafty. Today I'm sharing 5 ways to jazz up your cards. I've created 2 identical cards, but one has a few extra elements that I really feel help finish it. I'm mostly focusing on those 5 elements, but if you have any questions about the actual card design, feel free to leave a comment and I'll try to answer. So let's get started. First I'm going to share the basics of my cards. I start by stamping the snowman and accessories with VersaFine and heat embossing them with clear embossing powder. These are from Honeybee Stamp's Snow Buddies set. Then I color them with Copic markers and die cut them with the coordinating dies. I am coloring both sets at the same time to make sure I use the same colors and shading. Next, I blend 2 backgrounds using Distress inks on Strathmore Bristol cardstock. I use Chipped Sapphire, Blueprint Sketch, and Salty Ocean to blend an ombre sky for my scene. Then I spritz the panel with water and blot off the excess to create lighter spots. I also spritz the panel with iridescent spray and splatter it with white gouache to create the effect of a snow-filled sky. I set those aside to dry while I work on my sentiment. Before I forget, I stamp the buttons onto my snowman with intense black ink. Then I die cut a hill for my snowman using the Lawn Fawn simple stitched hillside borders and stamp a sentiment from Simon Says Stamps Believe with VersaFine before heat embossing it with clear embossing powder. Then I die cut the Believe word outline with vellum and the word with silver glitter cardstock and adhere them together. Once my background panels are dry, I trim them down to create my cards. For my basic card, I simply adhere the panel to an A2 base and add my elements with adhesive. There's nothing wrong with this card, and it would look fine as it is, but I like to add a few things to really give it a finished look. My first tip is to simply frame the card by trimming it down to 4 by 5 1/4 and adhering it to a white card base. You could also use a different color mat. I adhere my hill but don't trim it down so that it overlaps the frame. Next, I add a few white gel pen accents to my snowman and finish it with a layer of Spectrum Noir clear sparkle. The white gel pen accents should reflect where the light would hit the objects, which is what I try for but don't always succeed at. But they also break up a bit of the color and add a little visual interest. And the Spectrum Noir clear sparkle just gives that hat, ribbon, and scarf a little extra sparkle when it catches the light. I adhere my snowman to the card and then use foam mounting tape to adhere the hat and scarf. It just adds a little dimension to the card. It's hard to see on the video, but there's definitely a difference between holding up these two cards side by side. And that little bit of foam mounting tape won't cause any issues with mailing the card with regular postage. And often, I'll place a piece of bubble wrap or cheap cardstock over the card when I slide it in the envelope to make sure that the hat and scarf don't get bent. Next, I add the sentiment and snowflakes and a layer of Spectrum Noir clear sparkle to the snowflakes. Then it's my favorite part. I add a thin layer of Nouveau crystal glaze along parts of the snowman's body, scarf, hat, and ornament, and then sprinkle them with Lawn Fawn chunky glitter and Prisma glitter. As the glaze dries, it really holds the glitter in place and you won't have issues with glitter flaking off. It's my favorite way to add sparkle and glitter to a card. As you can see, I add more glaze and more glitter for even more sparkle. I set that aside to dry and work on my last element of a finished card, a coordinating envelope. This doesn't have to be a lot of extra work, just stamping and heat embossing a few images from a similar stamp set makes a huge difference. I stamp the address line from Simon Says Stamps Envelope Sentiments and heat emboss it with white embossing powder. Then I stamp several snowflakes from Honeybee Stamps Jingle All the Way and heat emboss them with the same white embossing powder. You could also just adhere a few leftover snowflake die cuts from the card. It doesn't take a lot of time, but the recipient will really love opening their mailbox and finding that pretty envelope nestled amongst the bills and junk mail. And then they'll open your card and be even more wowed. Finally, here's another look at the basic card and the finished card. Just a few easy and quick additions, but I really think they make a big difference in the overall wow factor of the card. I'd love to know what you think and if you use any of these tricks in your own cards. And that's it. I hope this inspires you to add a little something extra to your cards. Thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to sharing another Crafty Quintet with you next month. Have an amazing day, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye!